Okay, welcome back this afternoon. We are continuing our testimony and discussion on S206, an act relating to licensure of early childhood educators. Danielle, I just want to thank you so much. The floor did not last as long as we thought it was going to. And our other witness can't be here till 2:30. And so I thought, like, well, maybe we can check in with you. I know it's a busy time at the Y. So we doubly appreciate you being able to join us early. And your former colleague, Representative Bishop here, was helping us access you this afternoon. So welcome to the House Human Services Committee. And we are ready for whatever comments you might have about S206 and its impact on the Y, and your thoughts in general about the subject of this bill.
Perfect. Thank you for having me. I'm glad I saw the message and I'm glad I could jump on. So Madam Chair, Madam Vice Chair, and members of the committee, my name is Danielle Harris, and I'm the Senior Director of Youth Development at the Greater Burlington YMCA. Thank you for the opportunity to speak in support of bringing greater clarity, consistency, and professional recognition to an early childhood education in Vermont. The Y strongly supports recognizing our early childhood educators for the enormous responsibility they carry. They're professionals and they see themselves as nothing less. The Y supports several aspects of this bill, including the problems it seeks to solve and its overarching goals. We also appreciate the health and welfare amendments, as we see these as improving the bill in several ways. We support clarifying the credentials necessary to be in the classroom as outlined in this bill. Clear expectations help strengthen and and ensure quality for children and families. In addition, we support the development of a mechanism that makes it easier for employers to verify whether a candidate is qualified to be in a classroom. Having accessible, reliable systems for credential verification is essential for both program quality and efficient hiring. At the same time, it's imperative that we face a simple reality. We need more qualified educators in the field. We're concerned that this bill may unintentionally create additional barriers to entry at a time when recruitment and retention are already significant challenges. My testimony today focuses on the workforce. Like many industries across the state, we're facing a workforce shortage, and we share the goal of increasing the number of qualified workers in the field. We also recognize a role in the broader economy. Without teachers in classrooms, programs go offline, and parents and guardians are left without a safe and enriching place for their children while they work or attend school. On the ground, this challenge is immediate and visible. Program directors in early childhood education programs talk to each other and compare notes. We've learned that many programs, ours included, are currently operating at roughly 80% of enrollment capacity. This means that spots that could serve children and families remain unavailable. This reduced capacity is for a variety of reasons, like staffing shortages and turnover overall. It's also a fact that leaving space in the classroom gives teachers the bandwidth to better deal with the increase in behaviors they must handle before risking serious burnout. We see experienced teachers leave the field altogether or pursue specialized roles that take them out of classrooms. At the same time, those that are remaining are carrying heavier workloads, leading to burnout and can lead to further turnover. This is not a future concern. This is the daily reality for early education programs. Vermont already has established regulations and high-quality standards in place for early childhood educators. It's why we lead the nation in kindergarten readiness. Adding new layers of requirements risks discouraging individuals interested in entering the field and could result in fewer people entering the field overall. We appreciate the clarity and simplicity of the ECE1, ECE2, and ECE3 levels. Current regulations are difficult to understand and navigate, and this framework creates a clear path for both professionals entering the field and for employers evaluating candidates. For ECE2 and ECE3, the educational qualifications needed to meet the criteria are unchanged, which is positive. ECE1, the proposed entry-level position in this bill, appears to require significantly more training before they can enter a classroom. While we support preparation for both practical and safety reasons, we need to be careful not to unintentionally limit entry-level access. If the threshold to enter is too high, we risk shrinking the very pipeline we're trying to grow. We continue to advocate for employees to gain experience in the classroom, as this leads to a better understanding of the field and greater retention. As an employer, we appreciate the proposed framework to more easily verify candidate qualifications. However, we think this could be achieved without creating a licensing board. Existing systems such as BFIS, which we understand is undergoing updates, could be further leveraged as part of the solution. For example, could BFIS serve as a centralized hub for documentation, credentials, or even tracking violations or infractions? Strengthening and streamlining existing systems may be more effective than introducing new processes. Finally, while we work to elevate the profession, we must ensure there is a clear and accessible pipeline into the field. Building stronger connections between early childhood programs and high schools, colleges, and universities could help create the pathway and address workforce shortages in a meaningful way. When we have openings at the Y, we rely heavily on traditional job postings and informal networks. Given the importance of early education to our communities and the economy, and the level of public investment made in recent years, there should be a more intentional and visible pipeline connecting people to this profession and the programs on the ground. We all share the goal of providing high quality care and education for Vermont's children. We all support recognizing early childhood educators as the professionals that they are. However, we must achieve both quality and accessibility. Requirements and qualifications can only help the industry if they avoid reducing the workforce or create barriers to entering it. Thank you for your time and your consideration.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Questions for this witness? Go ahead, Representative Bishop.
Thank you, Danielle, for joining us. I just wondering, hoping you could tell us a little bit about what it looks like when you are trying to hire when staff leaves, if there's sort of an average of how long it may take to hire, any insights you could provide. And I'll just preface it with, and as Chair said at the beginning, you and I work together at the Y, so I'll disclose that. But I preface it in that the Y is in a position where other employers aren't, that we can offer retirement benefits and healthcare benefits. So I would think naturally a fairly attractive place to work for people in the field. But I think we still have problems recruiting in the field. Can you shed any light on that?
Still say wait.
I know, I still say wait.
Yeah, you know,
Yeah, eventually everyone say wait.
it's good. It's a good thing.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you. So we currently have 11 openings at the Y over both. That includes 2 programs, one in Winooski and one in downtown. So we're looking for 11 qualified teachers. We have 1 classroom closed at the moment. We have an infant teacher position that has been open since January. We have a great benefits package that you mentioned. So I think that is really helpful and very attractive. It's difficult when people apply and we have to go through the process of sort of determining what their qualifications are currently. And so sometimes that takes time. It also, the number of people who have applied have qualified and don't have the college credits that they need to be higher up on as a teacher, head teacher or associate teacher. And so that's limited our pool of applicants, I feel. We have been very successful in the last month, and we've had 2 really great candidates who are entering the field as new, sort of new to the field. They have experience in programs, but not in classroom college credits, and they have been wonderful. They are fabulous with the children. They're ready to learn. They want to be in the field, and so I guess that's my fear, right? The entry level. There are people who just want to try it out, or maybe they want to change professions. And so those two candidates that we've most recently had have been sort of entry level.
I appreciate the, I guess, observation that while it's a desirable thing to both recognize the profession and promote the professionalism of early childhood educators, balanced with the fact that, you know, there could be some unintended consequences of doing so. And I appreciate you kind of enumerating what some of those might be from your perspective. And I guess I'll follow up a little bit on what Representative Bishop was talking about. You know, you're in a position that a lot of our other childcare providers do not have, which is the ability to provide some of those benefits that people are looking for in employment. And you're still having a hard time recruiting. And so I guess I was getting a sense, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I was getting a sense that you had this, that you were saying that there's the possibility that this could further increase the challenges in some cases for the people that you're trying to recruit.
Yes, I agree. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Which is not something we want to do, obviously. It's we've made strides in this field in the last several years with a lot of work from everybody, and we certainly don't want to see those unintended consequences for sure. That was weird. Representative Garofano.
Hi, Danielle. Nice to see you. Thank you for being here. I wonder how many of your staff currently might kind of slot into the ACE 1, 2, and 3, and then follow up to that. Like, do you have staff right now that is, you know, the field right now and CDD requires certain professional development, continuous learning opportunities and requirements that exist, but do you have any staff that are going beyond that, like working towards a college degree right now outside of what's required by the state?
So I don't have the numbers exactly at this moment of where they would all fall on ACE 1, ACE 2, and I could get those for you. I don't know those off the top of my head. We hold professional development days. So we make sure that we support our staff in getting the required professional development. We also, when staff come in and they apply, I try to, as best I can, help them figure out, where they fall and then what they would need to do to move up that career ladder. So there's a number of people who have come in and they may be missing 6, 3, however many credits to reach that next level. And so we work with them and I think it's really hard to dig through all the different opportunities that are out there, and you can get this for free, you can course challenge, you can, through a portfolio. So there's so many different ways. And so we do our best to sort of show that to them. We currently have a staff who's been working at the Y for 25 years. She has been a teacher assistant for all of those years and is one of the most qualified teachers I know. But with young children and with everything going on in her world, just never felt like she could go back to school. She is in the process of doing a course challenge for 18 credits. And so we're working with her to do that. So that was sort of exciting. So we do the best we can to help them move up and coach. I think coaching and mentoring are the biggest pieces that we're missing right now in programs, and our directors are so overwhelmed and so busy. They don't have that. I think that would be, if I could put a coach in every single program, I think that would be the best way to help our educators move up that career ladder.
Thank you.
Sort of as a related follow-up to Representative Garofano's question, do you have any staff who right now are in the lead teacher or teacher assistant teacher position who with S206, would not qualify for those positions in the makeup of the bill?
Yes, I believe we have one or two. Yeah.
And do you know if they are, we heard testimony earlier that there's some amount over 500 individuals across the state who are working in positions that they might not qualify for. And again, one of these sort of transitional issues to deal with S206. And do you know if they are interested in continuing to pursue their education?
I honestly, when I've asked our teachers, and this falls on us trying to educate as well, right? Making sure they're up to speed on what's going on. But many of them said, oh yeah, I filled out the survey and said I want to be recognized as a professional, but they don't know all the details. And so the knowledge of all of this, I think is left a little, I think it would be important to survey and look again at staff to see what they really understand. We definitely have a few teachers who would not qualify and would have to do additional coursework to meet the level they currently are or to move up. We also have several lead teachers who are qualified with credits and would meet that ECE 3, but we do not have leading a classroom right now because they don't have the experience.
Mm-hmm.
So they have the college credits, they would meet that ECE 3, but they should not yet, right, without the experience be leading a classroom.
Right. Which is a really important point that you're bringing, that it's, you're making individual judgments about the qualifications of staff and, where to place them to best utilize their skills while they're gaining additional experience. So I appreciate that. Other questions for Danielle? Thank you so much for being here and popping on early. And I hope you're able to enjoy some of the sunshine that's out there this afternoon.
Thank you. You too. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Danielle.
Bye.
Okay, and now we have Candace. Thank you for popping on earlier than you were anticipating. So we appreciate you being here. The House floor ended earlier than we thought, and so we were kind of scrambling, trying to see if we could move witnesses up a little bit. So thank you for being here. We're very interested in your thoughts about S206 and the impact on Vermont's childcare and early education system and the people who work in it. So the floor is yours. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you. For the record, my name is Candace Lewis, and I serve as the Dean of Academic Affairs for the Community College of Vermont. I think other committees have had the pleasure of hearing from my associate academic dean, Leslie Johnson, who is on vacation this week. So you have me, and if you need in the future for someone with more detailed knowledge in the fields of early childhood education programming, I invite you to call upon Leslie. But that said, thank you for the opportunity to provide testimony as related to S206. I understand that there is interest in learning more about the educational opportunities for early childhood educators in Vermont, and I'm pleased to speak to those opportunities at CCV. I'm going to begin with an overview of the college. Many of you probably know, but CCV is Vermont's second largest institute of higher education, serving 10,000 students a year. Our students have very complex lives and come from all kinds of different demographic backgrounds, and they engage in their education in varying ways. A full 90% of our degree students attend college part-time, and 74% of our degree students work full or part-time while they're completing their degree. The average age of our student body is 26, and over 50% of our students are the first in their families to attend college. CCV students range from high school students taking their first course to working professionals with decades of experience in their fields. For all of our students, we strive to meet them where they are by providing flexible courses in multiple formats including in-person, online, and hybrid courses. And we provide support for students through individualized academic advising, career development, and other student supports. And finally, we strive to keep educational costs low through affordable tuition and several scholarship and grant programs. Turning toward our programming in early childhood education specifically, CCV has been offering courses related to early childhood since the early 1970s. Today, our early childhood education programs are among the highest enrolled at CCV. Last academic year, 24-25, we had 712 students enrolled across our early childhood education certificate and degree programs. And a bit about how those degree programs are structured. They are structured as scaffolded opportunities for students. So our programming includes 3 different certificate programs. We have one in childcare, early childhood education administrator certificate, and we also have an after school and youth work certificate. All 3 of those certificates are designed to be able to stack into our associate degree in early childhood education. All of our coursework and curriculum are aligned with the National Association for the Education of Young Children, professional standards and competencies. Our Associate of Arts degree in early childhood education is a combination of foundational academic skills and specialized ECE courses. The curriculum focuses on child development, family and community, teaching and learning, health and safety, professionalism, and program organization. Those focused courses are paired with our general education curriculum, which supports the development of a well-rounded educational foundation through broad liberal arts, including areas such as communication, critical thinking, science, art, and quantitative skills. Students have significant choice and flexibility in their general education coursework. Often they tailor these choices to best support their career goals. In a 2023 survey of CCV early childhood education graduates, 100% of those who responded felt prepared or well prepared by the general education curriculum. It's also important to note that we have opportunities for transfer for those who wish to continue their education beyond the CCV associate degree. We have agreements with several bachelor's degree programs in the field. Last spring, we received data from Vermont State University indicating that 87% of their online ECE bachelor's degree cohort had completed their ECE associate's degree at the Community College of Vermont. I also want to acknowledge, and I think I heard a little bit of this in testimony that was given to you yesterday, that continuing one's education is a really significant commitment, and CCV is committed to making the time and effort spent by students both meaningful and efficient. We recognize that many early childhood educators have extensive college-level learning that they've gained through their experience in the field. CCV has a well-established program to support students in gaining credit for prior learning through the Vermont State College's Office of Prior Learning Assessment, also affectionately called PLA. Prior Learning Assessment offers multiple opportunities for students to document their learning. Those opportunities include credit by examination, individual course challenges, and portfolio courses where students document their learning across multiple areas. PLA can be an option for ECE students with as little as 1 year of experience in the field. Since 2017, early childhood educators have accounted for approximately 50% of the students that have been served by the PLA program. Course challenge and competency-based pathway options see a success rate of more than 97%. In our portfolio classes, where students document learning in multiple areas, early childhood educators averaged 12.6 credits in our focused portfolio development course and 30 credits in our assessment of prior learning course. Since 2020, nearly 150 early childhood educators have received a total of 2,811 college credits from portfolio classes. Those awards have resulted in an average savings of $5,000 in tuition and 250 hours in time saved per student. Well, it's not in my written testimony. I also heard reference in testimony yesterday to supporting young people interested in entering the field. CCV offers early childhood education coursework in several CTE centers around the state. Just this year, the academic year 2025-2026, 226 students have enrolled in related coursework across 8 different career and technical education centers in the state. In addition to academic programming that's provided by the college, CCV is also home to Northern Lights at CCV. This program, which is funded by the Child Development Division of Vermont's Department of Children and Families, operates as the professional development hub for Vermont's early childhood and after-school workforce. Northern Lights provides professional development trainings and communities of practice, individualized career advising, and support for the state's workforce registry. Northern Lights resource advisors, who offer career advising to all professionals in Vermont's early childhood and after-school workplace, have deep knowledge of and experience in Vermont's early childhood systems. In 2025, they have provided over 1,800 career advising consultations to professionals working in the field. In summary, CCV's mission is to support and challenge Vermonters in meeting their educational and career goals. As an organization, we strive to meet students where they are with a focus on diverse and flexible course formats, wraparound support through academic advising and student support services, ensuring Vermont's lowest tuition, complemented by scholarships and grants to make college affordable, and supporting students throughout their professional careers. At CCV, we believe in the power of education to transform lives, inspire families, and strengthen communities. And we are committed to supporting Vermont's early childhood education workforce in meeting current and future education and professional development requirements, however those may evolve. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Candace. I have a question. So I'm making a presumption, and I thought like, okay, we should always check out our presumptions, right? So if somebody's enrolled in one of your, whether it's the child care certificate or the early childhood education administrator or after school and youth work certificate, or in one of your associate's degree programs around this, can they also receive the support through Northern Lights, that part of your program?
Yes, and in fact, our Northern Lights advisors and our CCV academic advisors work closely together, often as kind of a wraparound support team for students.
And so is there, you spoke about Northern Lights as the, it's been a while since I've learned about Northern Lights. Is that, you spoke about it as sort of the professional development hub that CDD provides funding for. And so does any kind of courses people take through that also apply to, or workshops, did that apply to their degree program if they're on a degree track?
The professional development opportunities offered through Northern Lights are not strictly credit bearing to my knowledge. I can check on that and make sure that that's accurate. However, all of that learning that folks do through the professional development opportunities that they engage with Northern Lights, that can become part of a student's potential documentation and work that they can provide in the prior learning assessment process, if that helps.
So I want to make sure I understand that. So the learning that they do through Northern Lights, in order to really kind of get, I guess I'm just say, credit, college credit for it, would have to be through the assessment of prior learning. So they'd have to kind of go through that process or use the documentation they received from the professional development as part of their documentation for credits through the assessment of prior learning?
Yes, the Northern Lights Northern Lights does not offer credit bearing professional development.
Okay, that's helpful to know. Thank you. Other questions? Go ahead, Representative Bishop.
Thank you for sharing this information, all this data. It strikes me that there are a lot of students who are engaged in early ed programming
Mhm.
And there almost seems like there's a bit of a disconnect with the continued struggles and the level of the struggles that the that the centers and family providers seem to be having in hiring. Is there a lag? Are the number of students enrolled, but they're not necessarily completing their studies in this field or going into other fields, even though they're studying this? I'm sorry if I'm not being clear. It just seems like a big number studying, but they're not reaching the workforce somehow, or just aren't sufficient.
I think if I were to make some hypotheses in this area, I think what I would say to you is that I would refer back to some of the earlier stats that I had about the percentage of students that are going part-time at CCV. 90% of our degree students are going part-time at CCV, which does, the consequence of that is that it does take longer for students to attain their degree if they're pursuing it at a slower rate. And I think that may explain some of the lag between the number of students that we see in the programming and the amount of time it takes for them to get through their programming. Although I would also say that most of the students that we see, again, the 90% part-time is also paired with the 74% of students who are enrolling in CCV are already working in full or part-time jobs. And many times in the field of ECE, that is those jobs are already in the field of ECE.
That you sort of partially answered a question I was going to follow up with. So if do you know what percentage of the folks who are in, studying early childhood education are already employed in that field?
I do not know that number. I do think that, I think the only hint at that for us is the high number of students who are pursuing PLA options,
Mm-hmm.
the prior learning assessment options in ECE.
Mm-hmm. And can you describe a little bit more your connection and the programming that you offer for the CTE centers? And because at one point in time, I know at least here in Central Vermont, they eliminated that program, and I don't know if that has returned there or not. But there was some in our testimony back when we did Act 76. There was some issues around programming at CTE centers in this field because, not surprisingly, it was a very low paid career path. And so they were trying to focus on career paths that were higher earning. But it sounds like that, at least that has reemerged in some places or never left in some places, maybe.
Yeah, that could be. I can only speak to the total numbers. And in terms of, I'd have to do a little more research to find out exactly which centers these programs are in. But I know that we have 8 centers who are offering coursework in this field. And in this academic year, the total number of students who were enrolled was 226. So a fairly robust number of students, I would say. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
Do you know how many of those students continue on with CCV through either, a certificate or degree program?
Not off the top of my head, but there's room for improvement.
Okay.
I would say room for improvement, but we certainly do see students who are following that pathway, and if not with us, then with others. Yeah, with other institutions.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Great. Other questions for this witness? All right, it looks like you've answered our questions, and we appreciate you filling in for your colleague.
Absolutely, anytime.
It worked out well for us. Thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Okay, take care. Thank you.
Right. You as well.
Bye.
Okay, folks. So that is where we're at on today's testimony. One of the things, and I didn't know if we had this on our list, if we had where Head Start and after school.
I can try to get some.
Yeah, I think we should hear from Head Start folks and after school. They receive state funding as well, so, all right. Now, we do have, we are taking more testimony next week. We are actually trying to schedule Janet McLaughlin for, tomorrow afternoon. And let me just double check my email to see if that has been successful or not. I don't have anything yet, so, so if we are not able to get Janet, I think it would be helpful for us to have some conversation after the testimony we've heard so far, see if there are other people that folks want to hear from that we don't have scheduled, and just kind of get a sense from folks about any questions or issues that you might have or suggestions. So for today, is there anything else that anybody has on their mind? Maybe I'll give a little brief update on 660, which is our opioid settlement abatement fund bill. So just to refresh folks' memories, we had, just a minute, I'm going to pull up so I don't misstate. Okay, so there were 4 programs, and is Representative McGuire, McGill still on? So it looks like,
Yes.
oh, she is, okay, I just didn't see it. I didn't see her up there, okay. Oh, I hear you now, okay, thank you. Because I know you were asking about this earlier. So the 4 programs that we had included in 660 that we wanted to be appropriated from the Substance Misuse Prevention Fund, not from the Opioid Abatement Settlement Fund, were almost 289,000 for Elevate Youth Services, for a drop-in teen center in Barry, 125,000 for youth engagement and education, Greater Falls Connections. I'm not sure which part of the state that's from. 200,000 Fellows Falls.
I think so.
200,000 for another youth program in Windham County called Friends for Change, and 26,697 to the Winooski Partnership for Prevention to deliver medicine safety education to kids in elementary school. So we had asked for all of those things to be funded out of Substance Misuse Prevention Fund. We felt that they were prevention related, and certainly after learning more about the Vermont Prevention Lead Organizations, would on an ongoing basis suggest to the Opioid Settlement Fund that they really should be directing prevention applications to those regional lead organizations, because that's where all the prevention money is going. However, that's not for this year. For this year, we are working with the health department, and they have identified funding in the Substance Misuse Prevention Fund for these 4 programs, but out of FY 26 dollars. And so I believe that that is the direction that we will be going. And I believe that there will be some reference to it in 660, but but it won't be funded out of the Opioid Abatement Settlement Fund, which is what we
Our
were.
intent.
That was our intent. I will say that there is some disagreement between the Attorney General's office, Legislative Council here, and the Health Department's attorney about language of the settlement language, the opioid settlement language, about how funds can be utilized. And so we're going to try to resolve those differences in the off session, and certainly that's going to impact the opioid, has the potential to impact the Opioid Settlement Advisory Committee. So So stay tuned on that. And I think it'll be fine for right now because we, as you recall, in 660, we said we're going to take a year off from making any additional appropriations and we're going to assess what we've spent already and its effectiveness, and we'll be able to get clarity about the use of these funds. So answer any questions about that. So the 4 programs will be funded. And they'll be funded out of the fund that we wanted them funded out of, is the sort of the bottom line. So it's going to have some, language I don't think has been finally agreed to, but trying to reach agreement on this so that the 660 can get passed out of the Senate maybe as early as tomorrow. So any questions about that? That's kind of an update on 660.
Thank you.
All right. We are also working with the Senate to ensure that our bills get passed.
It's only about 9:38.
Yes, they're continuing to take testimony on 938 and 657. I think we'll be seeing the Senate morning committees are they have 2 more weeks. And they are only meeting, they have to be done their morning meetings by 11 a.m. So they have shortened time period. And I will say that Senate Health and Welfare has a long list of bills to get through, because they have 2 committees in the House that they have to deal with. So, it shouldn't be a big deal to pass out one of the first bills that we passed out, which was on the community action agencies. That was really some sort of technical corrections. It didn't change any money or anything, and it should have been pretty easy. They haven't done that one yet.
They have taken tests.
Yeah, so I think if they've taken testimony, I think, we'll keep up. I'll keep up my connections with Ginny and our Chair Lyons, and certainly as you all, whoever reported on the bill, continue to do that downstairs as well. 657 and our homelessness bill, the APS bill. We, of course, have bills that they want to see come back, which we are working on. I think, they're happy to see 157 and 239 come back to them. I think so far they're happy with the changes that we've made in both of those, or at least the chair is. So,
Question about that.
yeah.
Does legislative council simply advise the committee of the changes you made upstairs, or do they want the bill reporters to come down before them to talk about those
Different
changes?
committees do it different ways, but generally, legislative council will describe the changes. If they want to know, the rationale, that's not, legislative council, if it gets beyond something that legislative council feels comfortable with, they would mention to the committee chair that they should be in contact with the House. But I pretty much I met with Senator Lyons on Tuesday, and I went over with her the changes. She had already taken a look at both of those bills, and I think was pretty okay with them. And go ahead, Brenda. I understand you're on. Have a question?
I do. The opioid money, did they put the safe injection site monies back in?
There, as far as I know, there is no additional appropriation for the overdose prevention center.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah.
Unrelatedly, I'm wondering about where we stand with the forensic facility bill. And I know, of course, was kind of a drive-by for us, but just our role moving forward. And I don't know if now's the time to talk about it or another time.
Yeah, no.
Okay.
We are starting our testimony, well, not starting, continuing our testimony on that next week. That's that's our major bill next week.
Okay. And so with the information that we gather, because it's not in our hands, we will just make a recommendation to judiciary or?
We will be giving them legislative language.
I see.
Kind of like we did, on pre-K with education.
Yeah,
And then we'll be watching that bill.
Yeah.
And if that language doesn't appear,
yeah,
then we'll be asking for jurisdiction of the bill.
okay.
The bill has, there's 4 committees working on that
Yeah,
bill
I know.
simultaneously. And so right now, we've all agreed to funnel our language to judiciary.
Okay,
It also aids in scheduling because, there's 2 ledge council folks who are involved, depending
Mhm.
upon what the what part of the topic it is. Yes, we're going to be hearing from, folks, next week around, the administration's perspective on that. We're going to be hearing from some folks who have provided services in the community
Mhm.
to individuals with what's called Act 248. I think I've given the primer on Act 248 here before. We will also be looking to, I think, engage, although we haven't set that up yet, because this bill has an impact on people who are accused of committing crimes who have a multitude of potential disabilities, including Alzheimer's, dementia, substance use disorder, traumatic brain injury, although I know that's not the lingo now. I can't remember what it's called now, but right now, they are folks who would be eligible to be served in the forensic facility. The thing that I believe, but we should receive testimony about, is that there's no community-based system. So if they're determined incompetent and they're determined to essentially not be a danger, an ongoing danger, their level of dangerousness can be managed in the community, that's where they should be placed.
Mhm.
However, I don't believe that there are any programs for those individuals right now, but we need to ascertain that. And we'll have the department here, who can talk to us about that, but we are going to hear from designated agencies. So they'll be able to speak to the services that they have been providing for 4 decades for people with developmental and intellectual disabilities. And to some extent, some of those designated agencies and specialized service agencies provide services to people with dementia, like who are on Choices for Care. So we can ask some questions there, but I think that we would need to potentially get the area agencies on aging, who are the case management organizations, and the brain injury providers in to see, are you prepared to do that? I don't know, for instance, if the health department and the programs that they provide are prepared. There's no provisions for the health department for a person to be ordered into the custody of the health department right now. If they're determined to be a person with substance use disorder who is incompetent to stand trial or who has been found not guilty by reason of insanity, that would probably go to the Department of Mental Health anyway. But the incompetent one, as a result of having substance use disorder, there are no provisions that I'm aware of in statute, like there are for DMH and there are for Dale. The court can order somebody into those 2 commissioners' custody and they're supposed to be providing programs and services.
Mm.
I don't think something like that exists for BDH, for people with substance use disorder. There's a number of things to work out, let's just say. And I think that I know that there are concerns among disability advocates around the use of correctional facilities for, what are supposed to be therapeutic services. There's also concern about whether, a person with a disability, that's a lifelong disability. And we heard that from Max Barrows in terms of competency restoration, if you've already been determined to be incompetent. And again, I'm putting out there, it doesn't mean all people with developmental disabilities are incompetent to stand trial. Some have, and they've been sentenced, and, they've gone through the process, but some are not, and, they don't regain competency. They have a lifelong disability. So, the bill is, bill doesn't, and this is just my personal opinion, doesn't have sufficient provisions around what happens in those cases. And for how long somebody could be held in a corrections facility. And there's testimony being taken downstairs in corrections and institutions about the capacity of, our current correctional facilities to take on this. And so there's a lot to unpack. So we are going to be spending quite a bit of time next week on this bill.
Okay.
Any other questions about that or any other bill we're working on? We are going to get the cannabis bill, or have input into the cannabis bill. I don't actually know where that is at right now. Does anybody here know where the cannabis bill is at? I don't know a number. That's the S90 is what's coming to my head, but I said that yesterday and I think we looked it up and that wasn't the right number. All right, somebody wants to do some digging about where the cannabis bill is, that would be great. It's a Senate bill.
Got hide it as me.
Numbers down, numbers down.
It's
But
in-
it was.
It was in GovOps?
I don't know if that's where it stands.
So, again, we'll be looking at that from the public health perspective. And, you know, for instance, it's doubling the amount of cannabis people can purchase and, I think trying to open what in Europe are called coffee shops, but, they're trying to do something similar.
Well, yeah,
Events and
correct.
locations. Yeah,
You can sell, whether growers can sell, I think.
yeah, there's a,
See,
there's a number of things. Yeah, potency things. There, and I don't know if Commerce is taking a look at this bill. It seems like they might because it's about economic development, is I think really what people are looking to this bill for. So, so we need to find out where that's at and have our say in that bill. So, and we are gonna do 243, which is the Language Justice Project. So we're gonna do, have we had all the witnesses on that, right? Do we have one more coming?
No, we've had.
We've had them all. Okay, so we'll
It's in GovOps, but it's 278.
278. Okay, still in GovOps. Thank you. I'll write that down. And it's an S bill, right? Yeah, okay.
They haven't taken any testing.
Done anything with it? Okay.
Oh, boy.
So, so I'll be taking a look at that bill to see are there elements in there that we, can give them feedback on, or whether we need to take possession of it. I mean, it's probably gonna go to conference as well, I would imagine. And so, yeah, we've gotten rid of that. We're gonna do markup on 198 for tobacco, and 243. I don't think we need to put any money in 243. But I think there's some language that could be beneficial to helping the Language Justice Project, get what they need. And for Vermonters to get what they need in terms of interpretation services. And then we'll come back to the, JRH, the joint, resolution. We have somebody from the Vermont Communication Task Force, who is, said that they would testify to talk about what kind of training, and professional development that they offer to people who assist people with augmentative communication, through the use of typing and other sources, flashing. And then we'll decide what we're going to do with that. It's a resolution. It's just encouraging action. You know, I would like to support Representative Burt in at least getting a vote on it, you know, getting the resolution on the floor. I don't think it's going to change Asha's stance on it. But we would be taking a stance that people should have all opportunities to communicate, which I think that's something that people would like to support. So, so we have those things. So just to summarize, we have, the joint house resolution. We have S-243, we have S-198, we have S-193, and we have, what was cannabis? 278. So we have 5 things, and S-206, 6 things,
All right.
that we are going to continuing to be working on in the next, 3.5 weeks, yeah. 3 weeks, got 1 more week in April. All of a sudden, April seems to be taking forever to get done. I don't know, is that, like, the first part of it went fast, and now the last 2 weeks seem to be dragging on forever. But, so we're still looking at, adjournment, hopefully
By December.
by December, no, May 13th, or 15th, whatever that Friday is.
I thought I liked you.
When did you hear?
May 15th.
June 1st, Merry Christmas. It's not heard.
I just FYI, don't make any plans for the following week. So I don't know. We have to acknowledge that the House did not pass the education bill till very late in the session. And that is going to be what holds us up like it did last year. So I feel like, we have some responsibility for that.
We can do it.
Okay, great. We will get our work done. We will get our work done. All right, anybody have anything else? Okay, great. Thank you very much, Linda.